Yes, Michael Steele. How you doing, Michael Steele?
Hey, Senator, I'm great. How are you?
First of all, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Brett Hollander is also on board. Let me ask you, Mike Steele, when it comes to this governor's race, I'm sure you've been keeping up. This is your former stomping grounds. Ben Jealous has had a real revulsion. As a matter of fact, yesterday had a little slippage of the tongue with being referred to as a democratic socialist. Let me get your viewpoint on this whole debate going on right now.
Well, you can't run from the tag if the tag is a reflection of policies that you're advocating, and it's consistent with what we've seen come out of Bernie Sanders' camp. We, of course, have heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez up in New York, who's now going around the country, sort of doing the sort of stomping grounds on this subject as a democratic socialist. So, that's going to be part of this discussion. The policies that Ben is advocating fit squarely within that camp. When you're going to be giving away stuff for free without really being honest with folks that said that somebody's going to pay for it, that's going to be a part of that narrative. So you got to deal with it.
The Republican Governors Association has just aired an ad yesterday, the second one they put in Maryland. They're putting money into the state that basically reinforces the narrative of democratic socialists, using a lot of Ben Jealous in the ad as well. I understand that there are going to be even attempts to try to stop these ads from running. I mean, they are what they are. Right, Michael Steele?
Yeah, they are what they are. I mean, look, it is part of the political process. And for generations now in the state of Maryland, Republicans have been on the receiving end of those types of ads, using, sort of a distorted view of republicanism and conservatism to sort of paint this picture of all Republicans, if you will. In this instance, you have very prominent Democratic leaders, starting with Bernie Sanders, who has endorsed Ben Jealous and is supportive of his candidacy, espousing policies that Ben apparently is supportive of as well, and wants to bring to Maryland. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be part of the statewide conversation displayed in television ads and the like. So this is the political part of that process. What he has to do, obviously, is to go out there and defend not just his position, but he's going to explain how those policies are going to be better than what Larry Hogan has done in securing the economic future for businesses and families in the state, making sure that education in all the communities across the state are on track on behalf of students. So I think that it's going to be a very hard sell when you start the conversation with you're going to get this for free. People aren't stupid. They know somebody's going to pay, and at the end of the day, it's going to be working class Marylanders who are going to wind up paying that bill.
And, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, you had Larry Hogan yesterday, you had Ben Jealous yesterday say this is basically a scare tactic from the Republicans and Larry Hogan using the socialist tag here. But to me, I look back at the Democratic primaries here, and you had Rich Madaleno from Montgomery County saying that Larry Hogan was responsible for crime in Baltimore City, as if it popped up 3 years ago. You have all those candidates saying that he was Donald Trump 2.0, and anyone who's watched Larry Hogan govern can't possibly rationally come to that conclusion. You've had Ben Jealous say he's going to roll back abortion law in this state. He's going to roll it back no matter what. Ask him to answer for the Supreme Court nomination of Donald Trump. Wouldn't that be a scare tactic first?
Yeah, I think that's the scary part of it. You can sit there and say that, Larry Hogan is the embodiment of Donald Trump, and no one's going to believe that, because not only is it not true, he hasn't governed that way. But then you turn the mirror around and look at your own rhetoric and record of what you have done and what you are espousing to do. And that's the scary part. What Larry Hogan and the RGA and folks like me are saying is not trying to cast it as scary. It is on its face, because again, when you're looking to bring an agenda to the table that is not consistent with where Marylanders are right now, and I think Marylanders are very much behind the governor in terms of the policies that he's advocated. I mean, from the very simple things to like tolls that impact people every single day. That's where the conversation is. And so if Ben wants to have a broader conversation, then guess what? You're going to have to deal with the devil that comes with that.
We're talking with Michael Steele, former Maryland Lieutenant Governor, former RNC Chairman, now MSNBC political analyst. Let me ask you a question, Michael Steele. When it comes to our politics today, that everybody knows is so polarized, a candidate like Larry Hogan, a centrist, if you will, a center to the right, is there room for him in our political world? I know he's won for governor already, but is there room for him in this dialogue because we're so polarized right now?
No, absolutely there is, and that's the strength I think that Larry brings to the table. He shows, as have a couple of other governors around the country, that a center-right coalition with center-right policies that are starting with, how do we help working class people? How do we support our business community? How do we affirm and invigorate our educational system? Those are the types of policies that people are gravitating towards. This constant bickering, this sort of dumbing down of our politics, the tribalism, the personalization, the invectives that are thrown around, the scare tactics. People are sick of it. They're tired of it. And so they're looking for that space in which a leader is willing to lead, not scare people, is willing to take responsibility, not make excuses. And I think they see that in Larry Hogan, which is why his approval rating is where it is, and which is why I think that come November, when voters go into that booth and they're making that final assessment over the last 4 years, and they're making an assessment about what their expectations are for the next 4 years, Larry Hogan is going to be the face that comes to their mind and the name that they check at the ballot box.
And, yeah, I think that's where it's heading right now. Hopefully we'll have some polling on that shortly.
Now, we're expecting, by the way, Mike, we're expecting a poll just coming out next week, Gonzalez Research marketing poll, so we should know at least some early numbers next Tuesday, Michael Steele. But go ahead, Brett.
No, going back to the last point, because the New York Times did write this on Sunday, Michael, about is Larry Hogan the savior for the GOP party nationally. This is in the New York Times a few days ago, and my question is, as not only as polarized as we are right now, but the infighting that you have in both parties, and we know who turns out in these primaries, how would someone like Larry Hogan get off the ground moving forward, Michael?
Well, I think he looks at his record. He looks at what he's able to do. He looks at the fact that, he was able to reach the level of consensus with the Democratic-controlled legislature. Yeah, there are some things that they rejected and vetoes that he's put in place and things like that.
But they haven't raised taxes in 4 straight years. No tax increases in 4 straight years of the Democratic legislature.
Exactly. So that's at the end of the day, you look at the result. Results still matter. No matter what you think about a person, no matter what you hear them say, results still account for a great deal of what they do. And that's where I think the strength is. So when you're looking at a broader question about the style of this particular governor and how it may translate in Maryland, but then again, maybe even nationally. That's something that individuals get to assess. At least here in Maryland, we'll get to vote on that in November. And beyond that, I think people can look at what Larry has done here. We can look at what's happening with the governor of Massachusetts and other places who have taken a center-right approach to their governing. That they think best reflects where people are in their state. And you can judge their successes and their failures accordingly. And I think that when you tally it up, those successes are going to excuse the pun, trump those failures because they know they acted in the best interest of the people. They set the politics and divisions aside. They tried to find, I got about to use a dirty word, so you may have to bleep me, compromise.
No! How dare you?
I know, I'm sorry. That's why I had to warn you. I had to warn your audience because somebody probably just fainted, at their table. But the fact of the matter is, those things matter to voters, and I think they get masked very often, gentlemen, by the ugly, stupid rhetoric that we hear because we're asked to dumb down this process and play to our fears. A leader, a governor like Larry Hogan, plays to our better angels. He plays to the better part of our narratives because he knows at the end of the day that's what makes Maryland strong, and that's the kind of leader I think we ultimately want.